Good morning. A couple of minutes late this morning. Hopefully you'll not have given up on me. It's August 2nd, Monday morning. On this pleasant Monday morning, Jan Akins, good morning to you. Good to see you this morning. You're commonly in my thoughts and prayers, you and Lee. We are continuing our study this morning in the Psalm 23. Karen Faust, good to see you this morning. Barbara Richardson, Dana Kreshock, good morning. Jim and Kathy Fuente, good to see you this morning. Jonathan Cassis, good to see you. Yeah, it's a nice cool morning. Always enjoy when it cools off at night. During these warm summer months. Steve and Andrea, good morning to you. Welcome. So, I wanted to continue in our study of the 23rd Psalm and just tackling one phrase at a time and meditating on those phrases to just derive a little bit deeper appreciation for that rich psalm. And I'm also simultaneously reading Philip Keller's book entitled A Shepherd Looks at Psalm 23. Philip Keller is a shepherd. His family lived in, I can't remember what country in Africa, but he was a shepherd by trade as he grew up. And so... he bears out these insights in this book. It's maybe many of you have read it. It's a pretty popular, well-known book, and so I thought, I thought I would read it and take a little more time to meditate. This morning's chapter is built around the phrase, "He restores my soul." So the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. And then those opening phrases ends with, He restores my soul. And I think it's interesting to reflect on the reality. So David's talking about, the shepherd and the sheep. But this phrase would be odd to describe a sheep, right? The need of restoration of soul. That is much more akin to a human condition, right, where we get downcast, and so I identify much more with that idea, and certainly that's the idea that David intends, right? That God, when he is experiencing a sense of being downcast, God, who is his shepherd, restores his soul. I thought of Psalm 42 when I was reflecting on this phrase, and which opens. This is not a Psalm of David, by the way, but this one opens with, "As the deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God?" So there's this soul longing. Which means that our soul is in some state of deficit. Oftentimes we will relate this to an emotional deficit. Maybe we're feeling emotionally low, maybe feeling depressed, maybe we're experiencing things in our lives that are reflective of loss and grief, which certainly produces a want in our soul. As it relates to our emotional health. But then there's this spiritual want that is created, that we are, even though we have a right relationship with God, even though we are regularly maybe participating in our morning devotion to reading the scriptures, to pray, to seek the Lord, there's just naturally going to be ebbs and flows in our spiritual life. So when I think about this phrase, he restores my soul, first I think about the deficit. So, and I relate it personally this morning mostly to the spiritual and emotional health of my life. So there are times in which I'm experiencing loss, I'm experiencing difficulty or a trial, and I feel emotionally drained. Or maybe I've just had a really full time of ministry and I've poured out my soul on behalf of someone else. And I feel that deficit. And there's certainly times in our life, and we've talked about this on this morning live stream before, where we enter times spiritually of a desert time, a time of dryness, and this is very natural. It's very common. We can become despairing of it because we also feel these times of spiritual highs, where we feel God's presence so very real in a very real way. We're learning maybe some new things. God is really expanding our soul, expanding our spiritual appetite for Him, and we're really relishing that. But then there are times, very naturally, on the flip side, the natural ebbs and flows of life, where we feel a spiritual deficit. And oftentimes that's not because there's anything wrong. We're in good. We're in right relationship with God. We are doing our regular practices of spiritual health. We're in good relationship with people around us. Yet we're feeling a spiritual deficit. Whether that's a spiritual deficit or an emotional deficit, this phrase, "He restores my soul," as a part of Psalm 23, just presents the reality that every single person experiences deficit. We experience a place in which we are in want, and emotionally and spiritually, and we need restoration. I just want to acknowledge that first of all, and maybe some of you are there today. It's strange because I woke up this morning. I said this a few weeks ago when I just woke up and saying, "Man, I'm just melancholy today." This morning, I certainly felt not spiritually deficit, but definitely emotionally in an emotional deficit this morning. Yesterday, Sunday, was my first Sunday back after 2 weeks. We've been battling COVID, and just being with God's people was so wonderful to me. Using my gifts, worshiping the Lord. I mean, I'm not often emotional. I'm not against emotions, but I have a long history of suppressing emotions, so they're always a little bit strange for me to navigate. But yesterday, my goodness, during worship, the songs, the words really just resonated with my heart. I was so happy to be there in worship because I'd missed it for 2 weeks straight, and to connect with people, to see people in person, my heart was just overwhelmed, and I just wept all through those first 3 songs. And by the time of the end of those songs, I was like, "Mark, you got to pull it together here. I had to stand up, and we commissioned Jonathan yesterday in service. And so yesterday was just an emotional day, and I personally am experiencing some grief and loss in a couple different areas of my life right now. And so this morning I just woke up as a result from that day yesterday being so good, but also extending myself emotionally. This morning I woke up in an emotional deficit. And so I think it's important to, first of all, recognize that we get in those deficits, and that's okay. It's normal. It's completely normal. None of us like it. We don't like to be in those depleted times, but it's important that we just acknowledge it. That's step one, to acknowledge that I have a need. That's okay. But the second part of it is when we're in those times of deficit, we really long to come out of that. We want to be restored. And we can sometimes do that in unhealthy ways. I know I have a long list of ways that if I'm not feeling emotionally up, you binge watch some television show or a movie, or you just do some activity to help you forget how you're feeling. Another phrase is called numbing out, right? So, I mean, it's okay to do that at some level, but ultimately, it's not going to really restore our soul. It just helps us to forget how we feel for a short period of time. And so the important part of this phrase to me is the word he. He restores my soul. God is so good. He is our shepherd. He is the one, if we trust him and lean in to him, he is the one who is going to be the source of our restoration. And this is where in the book, A Shepherd Looks at Psalm 23, Philip Keller's book that I've been reading, he talks about the sheep experiencing, very healthy sheep, experiencing this phenomenon called being cast. And it's where a sheep who is very healthy, they have lots of wool, maybe lots of fat, all good things for a sheep. Lots of fat maybe not be good for us, but for a sheep it's good. And maybe they're pregnant. All things are going well, but in that state where they have increased weight to their body, when they lie down, maybe in a little depression in the ground, their body weight can shift in that depression and they can flip onto their back. And once they get into that state, the Philip Keller calls it's actually, there's a term for it. They become cast. And when a sheep has become cast, they're on their back. They have no ability to right themselves. And if they are left in that position for any length of period of time, they'll die. And they're also very susceptible to predators, and even more so than they normally are. So it's really important. And the only other sheep don't come and help, they don't know what to do. The herd moves on to another green pasture, and that sheep is just left behind. So it is the responsibility of the shepherd to go and help that sheep to stand back up so it can live and go and feed and be a part of the flock, all those things. The point that Philip Keller is making is that the shepherd is the source. The shepherd is the one who ultimately has the power to restore the soul. And in these moments where we feel downcast, like this Psalm 42, which I read, he'll later say, "Why are you downcast, O my soul? Yet will I praise you." So his eyes are fixed upon God, who is the source of his restoration, knowing that, hey, for a time I'm downcast. My soul needs restoring, but my eyes are going to be fixed on the shepherd, the one who is the source of my restoration, and in whom I am willing to wait. That's the hardest part of this whole phrase to me. The word's not even in there, waiting, but we know by experience that is often accompanying our soul being restored. It's not just that I woke up this morning, I'm feeling a little depleted, my soul is a little downcast, so I turn my eyes on the Lord and snap my fingers, and great, I'm restored. I did all the right things. I did step 1, 2, and 3, and good morning. That's often and usually not the case, right? And so there's this period of waiting. That's hard. We just have to endure for a period of time this wanting of our soul. And I think it's just so important it's during these time where that little extended want, where our soul needs restored, and our eyes are fixed on the shepherd, that God can truly do some deep work in us. It's uncomfortable, but ultimately it is good. And as we long for him, as we seek him, we know that we still retain hope, because one day I will be restored. I am confident of that. I will yet again praise you, the psalmist says in Psalm 42. But in that meantime, we got to feel it a little bit. We got to feel that wanting, and then the shepherd, who is very faithful, his love is steadfast toward us, will ultimately restore our soul. We'll come back into a right feeling before our Lord. Our soul will again feel full. It's not a forever thing that our soul is wanting, right? But our goal is not just to numb out, not just to forget, not just to pass time distracting ourselves until our soul somehow gets restored. But the idea is to wait and keep our eyes fixed on the shepherd, our wonderful God, the God of all comfort, our everlasting Father, our Prince of Peace, God, Jesus, whom we have a relationship, He will restore our soul. So keep your eyes on Him today. That's what I'm trying to do today, and I'm grateful for that. So we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Lord bless you today.